Hi, my name's Don Smith. I'm here with Larry Rosborough, president of SSI Consulting, to address some questions that have been posed to us by small and medium-sized businesses with regards to the business aspect or business challenges of COVID-19. So I'm going to jump right in, Larry, with the first question that also has a follow-on question. Some companies are asking how they can help during this time and wondering what they can do. And the follow-on question is, what are some of the manufacturing opportunities required to help support the fight against COVID-19?
Very good question on what they can do right now and things that they can look at. I think the biggest thing right now is companies need to look at what resources do they have on hand, what are the equipment, the people, and the raw materials that they have, and then look at, say, what is it that we might be able to do to provide some support. We've got some good examples out there, distillers and brewers in the Atlantic Canada that are now switching and making hand sanitizer. They've got the alcohol on hand, so they're able to do that. We've got companies working together and partnering and seeing if they can come up with ideas, so such as Stanfield's and Intertape Polymer going together to combine the materials they had on hand to make garments for hospital workers, gowns and smocks. We've got companies in New Brunswick that are going together, a plastics manufacturer and in BBI, and a Tour Machining that made them some extra molds so that they could go ahead and make more face shields for folks and get those out. We've got examples where companies that make portable offices and washrooms, making those now available to construction sites. So there's better washroom facilities, places where people can wash up better and have better personal hygiene when they're working on some construction sites. And of at least one example that I've heard of where a company that sells RVs is offering those up to folks so that if they need to self-isolate, perhaps they're a healthcare worker that doesn't want to be in their house with their family, so that they can isolate in an RV during this time. So I think one of the best approaches for folks is to do a brainstorming session. Take your folks virtually if you can connect people up by phone. It's many ways to do it. Maybe invite somebody else in from the outside. And then sit down and just go through a real good brainstorming session and say, okay, here's what we've got on hand. Here's the equipment, people, resources, and let's see what we can do and make it happen. There are many things that people may not even be thinking about, and it's not everything that just need for the healthcare. So there's another example where people with some small 3D printers are making these ear savers, they're calling them now, for people that have to wear dust masks that hook behind their ears. So those are something pretty simple, but maybe there's some machine shops out there that have some material on hand. They have metalworking machines that they can do some work with, and they can make attachments for door handles so that people can open doors, for example, with their elbows instead of having to touch surfaces with their hands. So there's many different ideas out there. Look to the media, look to the different things that we can see out there today, and figure out what it is that might be needed, and go ahead and make the offer and try and do it. The big thing is, if you want to help, you're going to find a way to do it, and then just go ahead and make it happen.
All right. The next question is, some companies are asking how they can keep the government on board with regards to them being an essential service and their need to stay open.
That's another good question, Don, is how do people consider themselves essential services, and how do they convince maybe the government or their employees that they're essential services? So I think to really answer that, we have to take a first step to say, what is it that is the governments are trying to do right now? So first and foremost, as we've heard many times, it's flatten the curve. And to do that, they want to stop as much person-to-person interaction as they can. So that's why all the limits on social distancing, why you can't have groups of more than so many people depending on the province that you're in. And there are, unfortunately, some companies and some services that just can't be offered at this time because there has to be a physical contact with the person. So dentists, even some doctors' offices, hairdressing salons, those places have to remain closed because there has to be that contact. But the government, on the other hand, is also trying to keep as many people working as possible right now. They're trying to keep money flowing through the economy, so they're trying to make it as clear as possible for people that want to stay working what they need to do to do that. So the government of Nova Scotia has an excellent website, their COVID-19 website, and there's a link in there for manufacturers or service providers, and it's a question and answer that you go through. It prompts you all the way through, and it pretty well tells you what you need to do to be able to stay open, and if you can meet all those requirements, then you can keep running, or you can reopen your service. The main thing is you've got to make sure that your employees are protected, and if you are a public-facing organization, you have to make sure the public is protected just as well. New Brunswick has some similar things. They've actually posted their whole emergency declaration online, so you can go on there and read it. But it's pretty clear on there what things can and cannot be open as you go through that. It's not exactly the same in Nova Scotia, but it's pretty clear what's there. They also have a great link to WorkSafe NB, which also has some tips on things that companies could and should be doing right now as far as looking at what they have to do to protect their employees. And very importantly, and this is in all the provinces, is the employee's right to refuse and what that actually means. So some really good stuff there. PEI, again, has a very good website. It's set up a little bit differently, and they actually have a very well thought out chart. One side of the chart is those businesses that have to stay closed and the reason why, because of the protection measures that need to be in place, and those businesses that can remain open at this time, as long as they can follow the protocols that are needed to make sure employees are staying safe. The biggest thing in all this is not to worry about whether or not you're an essential service, whether there's a designation, but can you keep your employees safe? And if you're public facing, can you keep the members of the public that want to come into your business safe as well? Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Larry. For our viewers, there's additional information in the description below, and we would encourage you to engage with us by submitting comments and questions in the comment section below. Thank you and stay safe.